Welcome to the Direct Line, the official podcast for OADSP. We're excited to have you here with us today, and if you have comments, suggestions, or if you want to join us in studio as a guest, reach out to me at podcast@oadsp.org. Welcome to the Direct Line, the official podcast of the Ohio Alliance of Direct Support Professionals. I'm your host, David Rustio, and today we'll be talking with three leaders in the field, and since I can't remember their names, I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Owens. I'm the CEO with the Alpha Group in Delaware County.
Hi, my name is Bethany Toledo, and I'm the Executive Director of the Ohio Alliance of Direct Support Professionals.
Hello, my name is Michelle Madden. I get the honor of being the CEO for Independence of Portage County.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Now, let's start with OADSP. So, Bethany, talk to us about the organization and how you support DSPs.
Sure. Thanks, David. So the Ohio Alliance of Direct Support Professionals really focuses on educating, elevating, and empowering direct support professionals through many, many different channels. So some of you listening may have attended one of our events in the past. Mm-hmm. We have what is known as the nation's largest direct support professional recognition event. We're very proud of that. We usually see anywhere from 300 to 500 DSPs at that event.
Amazing.
And that event is held every September during National DSP Recognition Week. This year, we will be at the Columbus Zoo. So our events are known for, being a little bit corny and memorable. So everyone that signs up for the event, so all DSPs and frontline supervisors receive free admission to the zoo that day. Okay. And we will be in in the zoo's largest venue, where we will be in the Africa area. So yeah, it's really, really nice. We're working on all the details right now. You might wonder how we come up with the different places and the different themes, and I cannot take credit for that. We have a couple of great groups that help us plan out all of our events. So we support a DSP council and a frontline supervisor council. And those councils are tasked with keeping their fingers on the pulse of their field. So they're the ones that help come up with those really cool T-shirts and taglines and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So another event that we have is our annual summit. And our summit is coming up in May. And I don't know when this will be actually released. So it might be old news by the time you hear it.
Are we invited?
I don't know. I might be able to get you in.
Okay.
It's a very exclusive event. I'm not sure. Okay.
So the summit is a day-long conference for direct support professionals and frontline supervisors. We have a keynote speaker. We have breakout sessions. It is a professional conference.
Wonderful. All right. Have either of you been?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do want to put a plug in. Independence has had 3 members of their team be part of the council, and it's been a wonderful experience for our staff, and then bringing that back. So we're really excited about it. And it is, it's a great way for the DSPs to be part of a bigger community and really have a voice. So I'm grateful for that opportunity for them.
Do the three of you think that DSPs speak that voice enough?
I think they want to.
Okay.
I don't know, being honest, I don't think we've given them as much opportunities as they should have. Okay. I mean, that's, if I'm being honest. I think it's hard sometimes you have to make a commitment to that DSP being a part of that community as an organization. And Independence has made that commitment. So our commitment is every OSDSP event, we are sending an amount of DSPs. And us back at the ranch are offsetting any of the hours they would be working, what they were doing, making sure that they are a part of that. So I think as an organization, if that is what you want, you have to really make that happen and invest in it. And we've seen a value in it. We have seen a value in it. Okay.
I would agree with her. I haven't made as much of an investment in that as I should have. And I really think that, going forward, we definitely need to get more of our DSPs involved to give them the opportunity to be part of that community.
So where should DSPs be, talking, and who should they be talking to make real change in our system?
Well, I think if they're at the summit, if they're at a leadership launch pad, if they're at, any of the other training events, I know you just said the DSP Experience Project, making sure that when there are those opportunities for them to share their voice, we as industry leaders are making sure that they have that opportunity.
Sure.
If maybe they're with an organization that doesn't, reach out to OSDSP Ohio and get that information. You can go to the website, and I'm sure that that's all listed there, or their Facebook page, right?
It's all listed.
Or listen to this podcast.
Yes. Now, one of the things that we've talked about on another episode was that DSPs really can begin to make a difference by getting to know who represents them and having sit-downs with them. They should know their representative. They should talk to their representative. And I've done it. Representatives will sit down and talk to people. And when they're on break in the town that they support, ask them to meet with you. So there are some ways to get out our voice.
Well, and I think, too, even being encouraged to have those conversations within their own organizations.
Yes.
I don't know who I was having this conversation with, but a lot of our DSPs have some wonderful ideas if we listen.
Right.
And we have to, I think, carve out that time for that. They're the ones on the front line doing the job, and then empowering them, as Bethany said, to do that. And making it a safe space to share ideas, because again, they're the ones on the front line doing the job.
Right. Now, Bethany, I also know that you're involved in a lot, not just this organization, but you were on a call earlier today. You're working with different organizations to kind of get the story out. Anything you can share about the reach that this organization takes?
Well, so OADSP is a statewide nonprofit organization. So it's important for people to understand that we're not a member-based organization. So there are not membership dues. Everything that we do is for every direct support professional, frontline supervisor, in Ohio. And so there are different ways to connect with us. Okay. We love nothing more than to hear from someone and have them say, like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of you before. This is so cool. I want to be a part of what you do. Right. How do I join? And there is no joining. You're already a part of us. So did that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the path that DSPs can take to kind of grow their experience and to maybe move up in their organization or just to have their voice heard. What can DSPs do?
I guess they can probably get involved in their organizations as much as they possibly can. I know a lot of them are working a lot of hours that we're being asked them to do. But if there's a committee or something like that that's in their organization, get involved. That would get them, in the know of what's happening.
But I'm shy. Liz. So I'm afraid to speak up.
Me too, David. Me too.
That's why we're all sitting here.
Yeah.
I think that some folks will find it intimidating to ask. I would like to be on that committee. I would like to be involved in other ways. All of our organizations, we have roles that DSPs can take if they need to and want to, but they don't know how to ask sometimes.
Well, one piece of advice that I have for people is to become a pain in the ask. So continually ask those questions. And for supervisors, program administrators, executive directors, nothing beats an invitation. So if you see potential in someone, say, hey, wow, I noticed you did this, or you picked up, X, Y, and Z, and that's not really even a part of your role. I think I see some leadership potential. I want to talk to you about some opportunities that we have here at fill in the blank organization. Mm-hmm. So I think it can work both ways.
Well, I just had the pleasure of spending some time with Bethany and several DSPs down for the Beat the Winter Blues to Nashville, and it was a wonderful workcation for some of these DSPs. It was wonderful. But what I'm going to say is I took a young lady who had been with us for 10 years, a part-time DSP, and she just fell in love with this community that she had not been a part of. We've participated, but she kind of does her own thing. She works her hours. She doesn't, and she's lovely. But Jess was there, and it was almost, she was encouraged, she was excited, but she was approached about being on the council. And she looked at me and she goes, "Can I do that?" And I said, "Do you want to do that?" And she said, "Yeah, if you'll let me." And I go, "It's all that I want you to be a part of. That's what you want to do." And she has just been so excited. She's come down. She's really like, and the cool thing is she's bringing that excitement back to the agency. Right. And I think that right there will then hopefully be infectious to the agency as far as, oh, you can be a part of this, you can do this, you can do, and here's somebody who'd been with us for 10 years, never thought that me, even as a CEO, she was a great employee, she's a lovely person, a great DSP, but never knew. And taking her to this event opened up and ignited something in her. And I think she's going to be a wonderful ambassador for OSDSP Ohio, as well as independents and DSPs for her field. I think that's going to be great. So sometimes it's seeing those opportunities when they happen and seizing those moments. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have to agree with Bethany and Michelle that just this morning I had a nice strategic planning committee with about 13 of my staff, and I think they were very pleased to be able to be invited to the meeting and to have a voice and to represent. So like you said earlier, or Bethany said, be a pain in the ass. You know,
I love that.
Make yourself known.
I see T-shirts.
Yeah. to the leaders in your organization. You know, we all are always looking at ways to do succession planning. We need people to be able to move up in our organizations. We're not all going to be there forever. So we need to groom people and help them get to where they need to be. Groom, maybe. It didn't sound like a great word, but you guys know what I mean. Grow people, yeah.
Well, I think most DSPs work in isolation. They work alone in the home in many cases. Sometimes they're working side by side with another DSP, and they may not understand that there are things that they can do to be involved more, and that they can talk to their employer. They should be talking to the powers that be. And they should be attending things like the OA DSP Summit. What else can DSPs do?
Well, I know for myself, I started as a DSP in the field almost 27 years ago. And
I didn't know you were that old.
I know. I look so young, don't I?
You do.
Thank you very
Look
much.
at you being charming.
Yes. But anyways, you know, you also have to recognize in yourself that you have to do something for you. You know, nobody went back to school and got degrees for me. I had to go and do that myself. And then I had to put myself out there. I had to be hungry. I had to be asking questions all the time. I had to be willing to take on different jobs and learn different things in my organization and to continue to try to move up through the ranks. I mean, I started, like I said earlier, being a job coach, and then I did some in-home residential care, and then I managed the workshop, and then moved into the CEO role. So.
And Bethany, I believe you started as a DSP. Is that right?
Yeah, I started as a DSP when I was 19 years old, so pretty fresh out of high school. And I worked at an intermediate care facility, and we supported 32 people there. And gosh, I worked there for a couple of years and then moved back to my hometown and got a job working in a group home with 5 ladies. And gosh, after about 8 years working as a DSP, I worked a really cool shift too. It was a live-in shift. Have you guys ever heard of those?
Yeah.
I went to work on Saturday night and went to sleep. And, you know, I worked 16 hours on Sunday. I slept there Sunday night, worked 16 hours on Monday, slept there Monday night, and I got off at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning.
She talks about this often and how amazing it was.
It was wonderful because I had a young family at the time, and it was like, you know, basically, you know, having 2 households. You know, I had the ladies that I worked with, and then I had my family, and I got to spend 5 days. So I was with my family all day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday until I went into, went into work.
Wow.
So anyway.
I don't see or hear of that happening very much anymore.
I don't think it does.
I was
very
just
often.
gonna
It's not as common now. They used to be pretty common having those schedules, but they've kind of done away with them. I'm not saying it shouldn't be looked at again, because it might be.
Yeah, but sorry, I digressed. Sorry. So I worked that live-in position, and then I became the program coordinator for that organization. And it wasn't until I became the program coordinator that I was introduced to OADSP. And I learned, wow, there's a lot of stuff I wish I would have known when I was a DSP.
Sure.
I wish I would have known about the National Alliance of Direct Support Professionals and the Code of Ethics. And there was a credentialing program that was very young at that time that OADSP was supporting. And we still have it today. But that's how I got involved. I became a mentor for the program and then an instructor. Then I became a regional coordinator, and I just kept asking and taking on more and more.
So you were a pain in the ass.
I was the
You're seeing a
original
trend here.
pain in the ass. So, and then, the opportunity came to take on, an executive level role with OADSP, and I was a chief operating officer for a period of time. With the plan was for me to step into the executive director role, and so there was a strategic plan, and that happened over the course of about a year. I'm actually the first full-time executive director for OADSP.
Wow.
So prior to stepping into my role, we had a very part-time executive director, and part-time as in about 10 hours a week.
Oh my.
You didn't get as much done.
Right,
then.
right.
Yeah. Well, you have a pretty big reach now, which is exciting. And when we talk about DSPs, how many are there in the state? Just a guess.
Oh, I can't even.
I've never been able to get a straight answer to that question.
Not enough. That's my
That
answer.
we do know the answer to. We'd like more.
About 50% of the need.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that is true.
I think it would be nice for us to know how many DSPs are working in the system, because that's a tool we can use with legislators. People want to know how many voters are out there that might be paying attention to the needs of. It's a big crowd. It's probably one of the bigger groups of people, because what we do, there's so many of us. We're just kind of hidden.
Like we were talking about before on another conversation is, how many people does a person with disabilities actually affect that are voters out there? When you really think about that number, it's a pretty big number.
And that can impact funding.
Yeah.
We can share.
Which would then help us get more DSPs in the door. Right. But I want to go back to the career path. As a seasoned HR professional, one of the things I think that is overlooked in our field is you start as a DSP and you learn a lot of soft skills, critical skills, just really overall good work skills that can translate into other aspects of work. And I think as Bethany and Liz growing up through the field offers, you learn that basic foundation, and it's a really great way to build off of. Whether you go into be an accountant, an HR professional, a program manager, whatever it may be, or a CEO one day, or a nurse, but our field offers is amazing. And I know with DSPU, that's one of the things, some of the criteria, the curriculum that is. I know I've shared it with a couple educators, and when they look at it, they're like, wow, there's a lot of skill here that is not taught in schools anymore. And so our field offers that. And I think that's this little unknown secret, because again, when you look at a lot of the people who've grown up through the field, there's some of the, I'm going to say it right now, badasses, they're the ones really in influencing that change. And I think that starts from what they learned as a DSP.
Yeah. The skills transfer.
Yeah. I mean, you're asking those questions, you're being creative. We as a field do a lot with a very little resources, right? We have to problem solve. Johnny has no arms, he can't talk, but he wants to make a pot of coffee. How do we make that happen?
How do we help?
And to, I think, somebody who's looking just at the surface, well, he can't. Can he? Did we try? And that's, I think, what is so unique and makes amazing leaders in our field. Even if somebody just comes in temporarily, learns that skill set, and even goes out into that's great. But I think, so as an HR professional, I know when I'm recruiting people, if I can play off that, I'll give you a good foundation to build a career if you want it. Like Liz said, Bethany said, you have to work for it, but I can give you a foundation in this field.
I would have to say also, in addition to that, is don't be afraid to try something new and different, to be able to step up and to be in a different role. It may not work out for you, but that's okay. At least you've tried to do something else.
My greatest successes have come from failures.
Yeah.
I think all of us, when we fall down or when we have what we think is a failure, we build off of that experience. It doesn't, yes, it hurts at the moment, but it doesn't slow us down because it's a learning process. And a lot of DSPs who have moved into other types of employment come back, or they get this more what they think an accountant, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to work as a DSP at times because they really miss the connections that we get with individuals that we serve.
Well, I think the other thing too is, I've heard people said, oh, they're just a DSP. Just a DSP.
Wow.
They're a direct support professional. And we, in our industry, they're a professional. Not everybody can do that job.
No.
So we have to treat them like a professional.
It takes a lot of skill.
It is.
They're being asked to do a lot of things.
A lot.
For our individuals.
It's an impossible job.
And that's why I think the other, as leaders, we need to make sure that they have that community because we do ask them to do a lot. And that's why Bethany and her organization is, in my opinion, so vital to the health of that field. Right. Because they have that. They're stronger together.
Right. The scope of practice of a DSP is unlike any other role that I could compare it to. NADSP, the National Alliance of Direct Support Professionals, has created a great crosswalk that is, it's a beautiful visual of, the competencies needed to be a DSP in comparison to a state-tested nurse's aide, a CNA, and even to an LPN. And, the competencies required of a DSP are longer than that of any other list.
Right. And I think, DSPs listening and people in the industry listening know, but folks that are not that connected may not understand that outside of nurses and doctors and practitioners, DSPs are the only other group that pass medications. Now, think about that. It's a tough thing. The regulations are tough. Granted, they should be. But this is not something that every person, even in the medical field, is asked to do. DSPs do it, even though their primary role is health and safety, but they get to pass medications and sometimes controlled meds and sometimes injections. It's pretty significant what they may be asked to do.
Very significant. And it's funny because when you talk to people outside this, they're like, wait, are they a doctor? Are they a nurse? I'm like, no, they just have a certification saying that they can pass medications. And I can say for myself, I did not start, I worked my way backwards. I think Bethany said Benjamin Button. I was not a DSP when I came in here. I was an HR professional and have learned the DSP role as part of my education to be an HR professional, to recruit and attract people coming into the field. I really thought I needed to understand what that role was. And some of my fondest moments are being a DSP, quite frankly. But passing medications within the criteria that's there. There are times I've worked a shift and had to pass 52 medications, apply 5 creams, and do an eye wash and all this in 2 hours for 4 people. It can be a little daunting because you've got some, like you said, controlled meds in there. And some have to be applied before this, and I'm a smart woman, and sometimes I get confused. It's a lot. It's a lot. And then you have, on top of that, you have persons who need attention. Right. They have to go to the bathroom. They may want to drink water. You have a lot coming at you as a DSP that you have to make some pretty, quick decisions.
Right.
And it's
what comes first? What should I attend to first?
That critical thinking skill is really invaluable to that DSP.
Well, a doctor and a nurse and other practitioners, they are dealing with one person generally when they're passing meds or giving an injection. Where a DSP will be doing that task, but there could be multiple other people that are in the house that they have to pay attention to, and they have to make sure that they're protecting, and that can be overwhelming.
Well, yeah, because if I'm working a shift and there's 4 individuals in the home and I'm passing meds, I'm the only person there, or in an ICF, an integrated care facility, the ratios on average are a 1 to 8.
Right.
That's a very different, and that's where I think people don't quite understand the scope.
Right.
That these professionals
They are.
do.
Yeah. So, ladies, what advice, I'll go around the table. What advice would you give to a DSP, or, nugget of fun? It could be fun, or just any kind of...
Ask a lot of questions. I mean, seriously, you have to ask questions. You're not going to know.
I've been here 2 weeks, and I can still ask questions.
You can ask questions up until the day you leave. I don't care. You ask questions all the time. I would much rather you ask questions. I think also have fun. This is a fun job. I mean, there's some things you're like, we were talking, earlier. You could write a book on some of the things we've experienced. Our job offers never is every day the same. No. So enjoy the joys of the job. That's what we say at Independence, because our jobs, and the positions we get to do offer a lot of joy. It's a hard job.
It is.
So ask questions, enjoy those fun moments, and celebrate. I would celebrate your successes. When Johnny makes that pot of coffee after 2 years of trying different things, make sure you celebrate it.
Right.
I would just offer to make suggestions as well, because maybe you're a new person coming into that person's life and you see them differently than someone that's been working with them for 5 years or more, So maybe you might be able to offer some suggestions to better that person's life.
And we do see some new DSPs that come into a home and have an impact that gets a different response from the individual than anyone else was getting. And so learning what they did could be helpful. So great.
Yep. I would say be curious. Never stop being curious. Whether it's about the people that you support, your organization, never stop learning. Google is your friend. If you ever wondered, like, hey, has anyone done this? Is there a training on that? Could I learn more here? Be a problem solver. Help figure it out. Help us figure it out. Help us problem solve the workforce crisis.
I can just say, from being a leader, it is always nice if you bring a solution with your problem and let us mull that over a little bit. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be very helpful.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and join us next time on The Direct Line.